And we're live, back again. This is the Shoutouts, and we're here for episode 17 of Lit Literature. This is an intense discussion.
Yes.
Part 3, Oathbringer, finally, holy hell. This is your host, Jeff, JP, aka The Demon, from Sunnyside, Shattered Plains, or maybe some other place.
Actually, this time I'm being smoked out of an underground prison in the Rift. The captain.
The captain smoked out of the Rift. Woo! That's deep. Across the table.
The Cherry, how's it going?
Ben, the hitman.
Oh, Brett, the director.
In the dream.
I sense something different about him. I'm not sure what it is.
Who?
If he had light eyes, I think he touched a shard blade.
Yeah.
Whoa! But it seemed to have touched his
Doesn't work on his hair.
But really, a spren's just sitting on his head.
All right, guys. We got a lot to talk about, so we will continue going forward.
amazing.
The first thing I want to do is bring up a few honorable mentions from our previous podcast episodes that I was curious about. So I don't know if these are going to hit us or not anytime soon. Captain, this is for you too. The first thing I wanted to remind us all about is the merchant girl. We haven't seen her come back. We haven't seen a shard. We haven't seen anything that happened with her.
Was she just in the interludes, though?
She was, but I suspect she will bond to Spring, and she hasn't popped back in.
Risen was her name, right?
Risen, correct.
And she had the
good memory.
She had a spren or a great shell baby.
Yeah, she did.
To her.
Yeah, I don't remember much
She
about
had
her.
shattered her legs last we saw her. Secondly was Zeth's father. Zeth has been kind of absent, and except for the in-between book, but we also had some conversations in the past about who Zeth's father is, why he respects him so highly, etc., etc.
Right.
No information. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is our fellow blue man. Even though we're not blue, I guess he's not our fellow, but the blue man. I think his name was Axis.
And we get a story about him from Wit.
Is he
We
part of a
did
group?
seem to get a story.
Maybe not him or his people.
Yeah, something, right? The blue.
Yes.
The son
The
of
queen.
Of the moon god.
Blue dabba dee dabba da.
Oh, yeah.
Dabba-dee, dabba-da. Anyway, honorable mentions, and we got maybe little nudges in these chapters, but nothing much. And I just kind of wanted to bring it back up. Keep us thinking about this stuff. So, other than that, I think that we have so much to talk about. We'll just start with the interludes. The first interlude was pretty insane. I don't know what you guys thought. I was dying to talk about it last time, but now we're all caught up.
Which one's the first one again?
It's the soul casting smoke lady.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Holy shit, did we not get some information on how this shit works? We got, I mean, it seemed insane. There's some kind of island that obviously has to do with something so deep. It's why the Radiants betrayed the Spren. And also...
And it's surrounded by a constant, storm. It's called an Everstorm? Not the Everstorm. It's called something, but they have this storm.
It just constantly
that is
goes
constantly
around. Not as
there.
bad as the, the high storm or the Everstorm, but a storm.
And also, like, rocks were soul cast
everywhere.
around it. Like, it's being
Like
projected.
spikes.
And creme, I
pillows.
guess like creme-crusted fancy buildings all over the place. And one of the creatures that we met in the in-between, one of the Kremling creatures that is like a human that is made up of a ton of Kremlings.
The cook?
Yeah, the cook in this case.
Yeah.
Killed them all. And
Wait,
I
the
don't know.
cook was a Kremlin creature?
Poisoned all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It poisoned
The
them.
ship's
Why
cook.
was it? Well, we know that, but why was it? I don't
It was in
recall it
disguise
being-
as a cook. It was able to, like, transform or
And
something.
she basically said,
Yeah.
normally, I don't have to go so far to protect the island. You guys really pushed me, but this is the best thing I could do.
Yeah.
You know, peaceful, gone.
And you can
then-
tell, like, it almost felt like it felt bad. Like,
did,
I
yeah.
have to do this. You guys are just getting way too close.
But one thing that I think is definitely going to come up later is that she wasn't just like, okay, you can kill me. She's like, in my last moment, my last thing that I could do, she turned to smoke. So I'm wondering if that's going to be like a smoke signal or something that keeps
they
going.
said that they could. She couldn't even tell her on her dying breath why, because people could
they're
pull the
souls.
secret from
Yeah.
their souls. So whatever that means, man. And it's worlds, not world.
Yeah.
Not the world.
Yeah.
Not their world. Worlds that are at risk.
Yeah.
So it was a deep point, and I just wanted to bring it up. Second interlude was... What was the second interlude? The third one was...
Also, based off that first one, really quick, before we
second
move on
one was Teravangian.
Before we move on to Teravangian, I have a quick thing. Reading that first interlude, I was also like really curious how important every single interlude is. Like, this one definitely seems like it's going to be really important later. This island is going to be a big part of the story, I think, based off of how well they're protecting it.
I agree.
And it makes me wonder, are we eventually going to get to a point where every single interlude we're just like, oh my gosh! Or I wonder if some of these are kind of like just peppered in there for more information.
I wrote a note. I don't have the best notes this particular episode because just rush timing, but I did take some. And something I caught on that my second read through of that chapter was a quote that she says when she's getting close to the end, or when she mentions what she, being a soul caster, does. Right. She says, "I see the darks. I'm very close. Sometimes I see the dark sky and the second sun. Creatures that lurk around the worlds of men. Creatures that accompany the spren."
Right.
And then she said, well, that was all I had, actually. That's all she said.
Maybe spren have other spren.
It's kind of like, it was like she's...
Sprenception.
It's kind of crazy. I don't know what she's saying,
blades.
but... So that was that interlude. The second interlude was Teravangian.
Oh,
and when he gets smart...
He's
a jackass.
He's an asshole, but he's hilarious.
He is hilarious. I was like really happy about that one, not only because we were figuring out about his motivation, but just watching what a douchebag he turns into when he's really smart.
He reminded me a lot of Manny.
I totally think at some point
kill those kids
that we're gonna think or we're gonna find out.
I could totally see Manny saying that though. Kill those kids, but like joking, where Teravangian isn't.
I think at some point we're gonna find out that he and I truly believe this, or maybe it just is kind of a consequence of it, but he the smarter he gets, the less empathy he has.
That's what he said.
So it's very well. I think it's gonna be almost like towards the end he's gonna realize that's his curse, not the dumb side. The curse is that the smarter he gets, the less empathy he has. Mm-hmm. And then on the opposite end, the stupider he gets, the more empathy he has.
That's why they have a great system for him, though. Yeah. His posse doesn't let him do that.
But what I don't get is they totally think that when he was at his brilliance, his most brilliant, that he must have had zero empathy at all. So why is that better than the one when he's just really smart?
Because he was so brilliant that he had no empathy. He didn't care about anyone or anything. He did nothing but write plans out on the wall.
Thing
but all those
plans, how many people are going to die?
And those plans could be
exactly.
just like I don't care about anything except just maybe the smartest people being saved.
But remember, their motivation, the motivation itself, because of what he asked,
motivation
is that they can save what they can save. Mm-hmm. So,
also
capacity to save.
It seems like he's slipping.
I think he is. He's changing it.
Because, one, he was taking that test and was like, I can't do the last page, which was a lie.
He wanted to get out of it, yeah.
Right. Because he wanted to make policy still when he's super smart.
Right.
And he's not supposed to. It would have been bad.
Could have been bad, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they figured it out, but if he's lying now, well, when is he going to start faking the test and like...
But I mean, his plan's pretty sound. Yeah. I mean, it's literally perfect.
Except
He's got it set up. He's set up as weak and helpful and perfect position. Once they could find a way to push Dalinar out, I agreed with him. I'm like, he could take that seat, but he wants to negotiate with ODM, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, any other mentions? I just wanted to talk about it. It was pretty.
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
I really liked.
Yeah,
kill the kids. Take the kids away.
Kill the kids. I promise I won't kill any more kids if you just leave me alone.
We also got to find out a little bit about his past, how he was birthed out of a C-section with an umbilical cord strangling him, and that's why they always said his capacity might, even though it turned out he was fine,
yeah,
but that it stuck with him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the last
it's kind of weird though that ended up being like a thing though.
It is
like a real thing later on. Yeah. Like this perception of him that wasn't true ended up kind of being true later.
That sometimes he is actually really
dumb.
Yeah, it helped him. It helped him.
Yeah, it ended up working out to his advantage big time because he now has the universally understood ruse that he's quote unquote not that smart.
Right.
So, that makes people really underestimate him. which makes him an extremely potent villain.
Well, the one thing that I'm a little confused about, maybe you guys can shed some light on this, is I was a little confused, like, if that's the reason that he has this reputation for being a little slow. They people keep mentioning, like, the incident, ever since the incident, like, as if they knew him before. But if this happened at birth, it can't be, like, the incident where they knew him before.
I think there was another
I think there's
incident.
another incident, right? Like, I think that this thing kind of was, like, it, like, haunted him a little when he was younger, but then I think that there was, like, something that happened
I agree
after
with
that,
you,
right?
and I think we might find out what it is.
Really, I was under the impression that the incident was just his excuse for when he went to the night, what is it, the Night Watcher?
Right.
And got the powers, that it was like, okay, now there's going to be huge swings. We'll fabricate something so I have an excuse when I actually end up dumber. There's an excuse that people have this, it could just be because of the incident or that type of thing. So I think it was something that they created to try and have a bit of a reason, an easy fall, like backdrop.
Well,
that makes sense.
I think we'll probably find out, but the one thing I will say is Dalinar is trusting him like no other, and that is perfect for what he wants.
Right.
Scares me.
I was actually thinking really quick, though, sorry, Manny, but I was actually thinking the opposite, where I thought maybe something happened, and that's what made him go to the thing, because he wanted to fix it.
That's what I was.
He's certainly
about to say that as well.
him,
I'm sorry.
and we'll talk about it more later. But him, like the old king, as well as what we find out later, Elikar's wife. We'll talk about it when we get to that arc. But they all know more. They found out more about Odium and what the hell is going on than what I had ever imagined anyone knew. So that was pretty wild.
And it's funny that it's like 20 years ago, too.
Yeah.
Now, what's happened since then?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. You're right, 5
Yeah,
years ago.
5 years ago. And, well, 6 probably by now, I think. I think by this book. But anyway, timelines aside. Manny, go ahead. Sorry.
I think he was basically going to say exactly what I said. I cut him off. Sorry.
Yeah, my understanding was that I think he was always... they always had that notion that he was going to be a little bit slower or dumb. So I think he kind of went to fix that or do something in which he was like, hey, make me more intelligent. Which I think that's kind of like the swings back and forth between intelligence and not so intelligent.
Right.
Well, he said, give me the capacity, right?
It
to save us.
exponentially, like, changed it, I guess.
Oh, that's a great point, too, that it was give me the capacity. So it's not necessarily intelligence. It could also be that opposite end might be what makes that final decision on what really does save them.
But yeah, I feel like he went after the old king died. And then,
definitely. Because he was part of the Brotherhood, or not the Brotherhood, Sons of Honor. He was part of the Sons of Honor with Amaran and King Galavar. Thank you.
Right.
Jeez. I've been reading so much Elhokar lately. I keep wanting to say it.
And I think
Isn't it Gavilar?
Gavilar is the dad.
Gavilar,
Yeah. Did you guys say Galavar?
No, they say Gavilar.
Gavilar.
At least that's what I heard. I don't know. Folks
and I think one of the big takeaways from this is towards the end when he says, like, we're going to overthrow, or we're going to take the whole thing over from... So he's still... Even though they recognize that there are a bunch of changes that they didn't anticipate, mainly Dalinar being able to... He didn't steal the throne. He kind of just, like, worked his way honorably into it, so they weren't able to just go in and take over.
Right.
So the next interlude was Venli.
Venli!
Yeah.
And the only thing that I really want to bring here is, first of all, we see that the listeners, that's what they're called. The listeners are being hoodwinked into sacrificing themselves to be possessed by crazy gods.
Yep.
That are high in power.
That have been in damnation with the freaking heralds.
Somebody in that, some soul, saved Venli, and it's less intrusive than one of the gods would have been. And we don't know who saved Venli, but Venli is still Venli. The rest of her posse is dead and possessed by
I don't know
gods.
it's a soul, it's a spren.
Or Spren, whatever.
I thought
it was
the Odium.
Well, that's what he said, the creature. But
That Odium must have done it, but...
But who knows? We don't know
then-
that. Something got in there and
She
said,
still
this
has a
one's
form of
mine.
power, though.
She still has a form of power, correct. But
So-
not as good as a... one of the
Being a fuse.
fuse.
Well, she
One
would
of the
die
fuse.
then.
Yeah.
Basically, if she was one of the fuse,
She
she would
would've
no longer
died,
be
right.
her.
But didn't she say it was similar to Nimble form?
Similar. I think
similar
she's
to
similar
Nimble
to a wind, like kind of a floating form. but we don't know yet.
I think it was more than
Well, really, they didn't say anything about it. They just said it. She said, "Oh, I don't look like the others. I feel like it's similar to Nimble form."
Yeah, similar. She's light, but she's a little different. She has flowing clothes and small breasts that are visible.
Her breasts are actually visible because in the other forms
They're not.
Yeah.
Unless you're a
Except for
mate
War
form.
form or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, pretty interesting. But she also saves another
Her old mate.
friend, who I think is her old mate's soul, just like we know Eshonai's soul might have escaped as well. And she knew intuitively that the fused would have killed it. So, something...
Do we think it's her mate?
Well, it came out of her mate's body.
It came out of her mate's body. It seemed...
Didn't her mate body get taken by?
It was right there, though, and it was crawling down the wall.
Yeah.
I thought it was... Really? You guys thought it was that? I thought it was Eshonai's one that had followed that whole time.
Hey, that's not a bad theory.
That's what I thought, because it was the same color, same...
But I
same
think
type.
the point they were making is that when they die, their souls are kind of like spren souls that come out and they could be absorbed in the Everstorm and then flow with the Everstorm. But who knows? We're gonna find out.
Right.
So
I was thinking Eshonai as well.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
We could take a Brett bet on it, guys. I like this.
I'm not that confident on it.
I'm not either, man. We have some Brett bets that came to fruition, and one of them is so close on the borderline, we have to freaking discuss it.
Yeah. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with that one.
I mean, I'm fine with whatever we do, but holy cow, that was wow. Yeah. So anyway, wild and crazy. So now let's get into the story because we got to move fast. So we've got Dalinar. Let's just do Dalinar's arc all together because he's separate from the rest of the crew for the most part.
Yeah.
His arc, he's basically two things. He's uniting the nations for their fight against the Voidbringers, and we're getting his past. Cheers to learning Dalinar's past. And holy shit is all I have to say.
Yeah.
Sanderson, good job. Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes. Who wants to start? Not me. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay, I guess I'll start. Whatever. Let somebody else this. All right. Well, first thing, he needs to get the Queen of Thalen.
Yes.
So he goes there. I thought his strategy was pretty badass, actually, fighting the sun and taking the sword. Even though he felt really bad about it later, because it was just, I'm so tough. But...
Yeah, I liked his thought process that Sanderson kind of like let us into, where it's like, is this what it's supposed to feel like to have a Radiant come to your city? You're supposed to feel more
But the problem is they weren't
optimistic.
thinking Radiant yet. They were still thinking, this is the Blackthorn coming to visit us. And from his past, we know...
That's exactly what it feels like to have Blackthorn go.
So, yeah, I mean, the Blackthorn comes and he's like, I don't need to take you over. I basically already did take you over. Just coming here is me taking you over because I'm so strong. But we find out that he has some cool abilities. And one of them is to bind things, specifically stone. And it was cool because earlier, and I had thought this, and I think I even mentioned it. I was like, we don't know. The Stormfather kept saying, oh, that other Radiant who, like, split the rocks and turned them into stairs and then, like, ran up them. And he's like, the Stormfather said, that's the second binding you'll get, but it'll serve you different. Right. And it sounds like Dalinar can use that to basically build stuff or rebuild stuff.
Bind things.
It's also...
He's a bondsmith. I was going to say the bondsmith, too, is something that was mentioned in some of the old records by the Radiants, that we haven't had a bondsmith in years, saying that they haven't been bonded. So I'm assuming that this is a reoccurring thing that happens where the Stormfather would bond with someone, and that person would be the only bondsmith.
Well, actually, this is the first time the Stormfather ever bonded anyone.
Yeah, there were bondsmiths, though. So
there's only 3
at a
before.
time.
And the other 2, when you were talking about, the other 2 haven't bonded for a generation, so there's only 1, and they felt like he couldn't do his job properly. But what I was gonna say,
go ahead,
is that not only can he bond stone together, I feel like he can bond people together.
Seems like he can
when he learned the language.
Learn the language by just absorb. I mean, it brings a different level.
Don't touch me with your safe hand.
It brings a different level. Yeah, I'm touching you with my safe hand. Yeah, it brings a different level of thought to how their powers work because it's on the interpretation of their oaths or like their group. And it's kind of interesting to note that the Radiant or the Herald that has the powers similar to the Bondsmith is the insane priest. Like,
oh, really?
Rolling
Is that
around.
the Herald?
Yeah, because they said the first of the order was this name or this name or this name, but it was... I forget the name itself because I didn't take good notes this time. But that Herald, when the Stormfather was telling him, and then Dalinar's like, "Do you know where he is?"
Right.
He's like, "Yes." Blah blah blah. Finally, he says it.
Yeah, we got
that was the
confirmation.
same name, and so that particular Herald is the Bondsmith Herald.
Right.
He's the insane Emperor priest.
Oh, I didn't know he was the Bondsmith Herald.
Yeah,
I knew he was a Herald.
Well, I don't know that for a
They
fact,
are.
but that's what they indicated in that. It's in
Yeah,
that.
I think.
I mean, we did get a confirmation though that he is a herald for
Yeah,
sure though.
fact.
Yeah,
He did, and
definitely
he
Herald.
used
That's what I
his
got.
the Stormfather used his name explaining how they said how they used to call the Father of Storms this name, this Herald, and this Herald, and this Herald, but it was this Herald. And then when you talk about the other books, the intro to, they talked about the classes of Radiance,
Yeah.
and the one who started it was him, the crazy priest, the same name. This is the guy who started the schools of Herald. So that guy's totally lost it, and he's a bondsmith powers. So,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, that's. I think having Dalinar develop his bondsmithing is definitely key towards the heroes of this story, accomplishing their objectives. It's really neat seeing Dalinar and the Stormfather kind of develop a working relationship with each other.
Yeah.
And Dalinar is kind of helping the Stormfather take a more active role in this historic struggle, because the Stormfather just kind of sat back, and it was his nature to just kind of let things happen without really directly getting involved. But Dalinar is kind of testing him, and he's like, you know what? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And the Stormfather's like, oh, I've never tried, recharging a sphere at will before. Let me see if I can do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat, Dalinar's kind of making a stronger ally out of the Stormfather.
Dude,
I
hearing
think-
them talk to each other sometimes just makes me feel like they're almost like a couple. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, stop making me do things against my nature.
An elderly couple. Elderly couple, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I also think it's
amazing.
awesome how they introduced that the Stormfather seems to be quite rapidly too gaining a lot of insight into human nature, whereas he says multiple times especially when we talk about something we'll talk about in a bit
Yeah.
with the Rift, is he's like, I mean, I've wiped out villages before too, what does it matter? And he's like, but now through the connection I can start to sense things. And if this is his first time ever connecting with a human, there's going to be a lot of what we're seeing with Syl discovering kind of how humans interact, and all of a sudden the Stormfather may get a sense of morality that's more kind of true and human-like.
And it's going to be interesting when he does get that, because what is he going to do when his storm is just whooping people? You know what I mean? He'll have an understanding. So it's kind of, I'm curious about how that's going to happen.
It's going to be interesting to see him as a storm, that if he stops being a storm, stops being
Himself.
It's going to be interesting if his
Yeah.
newfound human morality will get in the way of him
Being what he is.
what
But
he is.
I
But
think
he can't stop.
Yeah.
He can, I think, but it means that he ceases
die,
to exist.
But I think it also helped Dalinar understand and cope with what he is.
Right.
Because he
A
is...
force of nature.
Dalinar is almost like a force of nature. His will is something else. He
But not
used to be a
necessarily.
jackass force of nature. But,
Yeah.
but now he's a controlled force of nature.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's some still that he's got to come over the fact that you can't just say, oh, it was how it had to be. He did make bad decisions, and he's going to have to live with those.
He will.
I think he's already kind of owning that,
Yeah,
though. I think
he is.
he pretty much acknowledges that he doesn't agree. He doesn't agree to be the person that he was, and that it was wrong to do that. You know.
Well, let's talk about his past second, and we'll get to that. Let's continue talking through his successful or semi-successful recruiting of the coalition of emperors / rulers, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.
I was really surprised with how slow reacting he was to the fact that there was all these people that were injured, and knowing that his son is radiant that can heal people.
Dude, he didn't even think about it. He didn't even think about it.
I was really disappointed by that.
Me too. When we walked in there, I thought it was like, you know what?
I thought that too. Like,
get Renarin.
Isn't it amazing? Just being a Lethe and his war mindset, it's literally just... The Stormfather was even kind of irritated at him. He didn't think about how to use these powers at all, except for how to fight. At all. Yeah. Which he acknowledged, but holy crap, dude. How do you not have Renarin in there healing like everyone, like you said?
Yeah. I mean, I know it can be frustrating, but I think that it's just hard to remember something that you don't remember. You can't like force yourself to think of a thing that you're not used to thinking about. He's not used to thinking about how do we save
have
lives.
Magical
He's
healing.
like how do we take lives, basically.
I don't know.
Yeah, but also there's a lot going on right now. He's under a lot of
He's
stress.
under a lot of stress, a lot of stuff going on.
I could see how it could slip his mind. He's not thinking about that. He's like, didn't realize the destruction was so bad.
Yeah.
And then he realized later, I was like, I can do more good here.
I think it's something that he's going to get much better at.
Yeah, I agree. That was a lesson. That was a lesson that he needed, because it took him going to handle it his Alethi way.
Yeah.
Him this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my Kleenex.
I just feel like that was just such a big... That was a major point, I think. Something that the author definitely wanted us to take notice of.
Yeah.
He wanted us to be frustrated, I think.
Also, during that same period that when he challenged... Well, he didn't challenge, but he egged on the Queen's son to a challenge.
That was awesome.
That was his old way, he realized. And basically, this is like, if I wanted to invade you, I could.
He just
and you can't do anything. He got stabbed in the chest, and he's like, what? Yeah. And then he healed, and then he realized that it was all intimidation, all
But I
old.
think the combination of the two.
I mean, I think it worked.
Yeah. But you're right. Next time, he won't need the combination. Hopefully, he could just, like he did with Azir.
Right.
Next.
Right.
But I feel like
exactly.
that was also disappointing for me too, because I feel like he got the job accomplished. Why is he still so like focused about the means? Like, you don't know what you don't know. You know what you excel at, and it worked, and you didn't hurt anybody by it. So I was a little disappointed with how he was kind of like so emo about it. Like,
Dalinar the emo.
Well,
you know what?
I
they're
think
setting him up for that.
He was being emo about it because he knew deep down that he was. The people of Thalinar would think of him the exact same way that they would think of the old Blackthorn. Like, he just came here to intimidate and perform a show of force. Right. Yeah, show of power. So he really wanted to get these people like truly on his side as an ally. And he kind of realized he needed to be better than that. So I think that's why he had that crisis of conscience.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, guys. So he does that. Then he goes to Azir. And he succeeds there, I think, pretty well, but really easy.
With the help of Navani's essay writing skills.
And I think it was even, he didn't as much succeed, and he had to acknowledge that he's got to rely on other people to succeed where he can't, or
Good
when
lesson
he
again.
cannot.
Good lesson again. The one point I want to bring out here...
Stormfather helped him realize that.
Yeah. The one point I want to bring up here, though, is that the Parshmen were absorbing human culture wherever they were.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really crazy.
That was weird.
Parshmen sailed away. Sense. They stole boats and got out of there. The Alethi Parshmen were immediately taking arms to siege.
Yeah.
And the the Azish
Azish people formed they lodged a former complaint against the government.
And then the government was about to
ratify Parchment. We'll go with you.
And then the Parchment left because of the damn spren.
Yeah.
And this is what's going to be the lesson of this all. Is really all these old fogey fucking gods got to sit their asses right out of it and let the Parchment work shit out themselves with people as people without all these, because now all this passion is climbing into them and it's a disaster.
It's so weird because when you read about that, I don't know, like 2 parts ago, and Don's like, you're negotiating with them. Everyone's like, what are you doing? But it was actually.
It was a good thing. I know. I agree.
It was probably the best reaction out of all the Parchment.
I read that too, and when I read Deladar's part, I was like, "No, what are you doing?"
Yeah, but that's because our understanding was that they were the same.
How the Oathi turned.
That was amazing.
I'm like,
writing.
It could have been like,
what are they called? The fused.
The Voidbringers.
Yeah.
But they're not fused. They're just awakened.
We thought that they were the fused.
Right.
Which is why we're like, why would you be negotiating?
But it's already known. The fused are all insane. There's like 1 or 2 fused left.
They're not insane.
There's only a few that aren't.
Well, they've died and lived for so long. They just have
a huge vendetta for vengeance.
Well, no, but the more that they...
Actually, not all the insane.
Yeah, the more that they... that's why the top leaders... Hitman's right. That's why the top leaders are... the top leaders are the sanest.
Yeah.
And then the second level are the ones that have like lost it more. But the more iterations they go through desolations, I guess, or whatever it was for them, they become more
just
and
even like
more.
the time period, like how 10,000 years and you're still alive, you're still conscious, and you're still fighting. Just consumes you and there's nothing left.
One thing I think is really interesting is too that it seems, and I'm wondering now, do the Parchment or the listeners we find that the fused have almost a gem heart, very similar to like the chrysalists and all the other type of like different species. But now the gem heart, is that is that true for all Parchment? Maybe they're just smaller than ones that we know, because part of what they have to do is they have to go out in a high storm when we know that gems are infused, and they have to take on a certain type of spren to get a different form. Yeah. So do even regular Parchment have almost like a lesser or a smaller gem heart, and then when they become fused, they become like a bigger gem heart, and that's now how they get like more power and stuff.
Right.
That's very possible, Josh. They make it very clear that the Parchment and the Parshendi are quote unquote not humans. Mm-hmm. Like none of the other races classify them as humans, and they don't classify themselves as humans. So they could have a very completely different physiology, cardiovascular physiology.
Yeah, it's almost like they're spren inhabiting a physical form, through genetics, so to speak. Yeah. But the thing that I caught is I think they all do have a gem heart. Yeah, all of them do.
I think too.
Even the lowest level, dull form, or slave form, whatever.
I'm not sure if it grows in size or if it's just different spren inhabited with more power than others.
Yeah, I guess because one of the things is we find that the fused don't die from a normal shard blade attack immediately. Obviously, because their soul's maybe their soul's inhabiting only the gem heart. Or because now the gem heart's taken over them. Whereas the old one, they would die as soon as they got touched by a shard blade. So something has to be different from the fused than the Parchment or the Parshendi.
Well, they didn't die right when they got touched by a shard blade. They died like a human. Like a human did die. His arm went dead.
But when Moash was fighting that one fused, he had a shard blade, and he stuck it in her. Is that her?
No, it wasn't Moash. It was
was it Kaladin?
It was Kaladin when he was riding on the back of it.
My bad, yeah.
And he turned it into a dagger. He stabbed her, and he felt that he had to go to something in order to kill her.
It was like go up to the gem heart.
And that's where we find out about the gem heart.
And then it cracked it, and she died.
But I think that we don't know yet if it's dead or just gonna revive like normal.
Right.
Yeah, Kaladin seems to think they're just going to revive anyway.
Yeah. Which we have proof of in a normal death, but we don't know yet about the gem heart thing.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's dead. I think it just got sent back to damnation or but it's 3 because there's no block.
That's not different. The only difference between man and them, then, I mean, like, if you're a floating body and Kaladin's jabbing my floating body with a sharp blade, my body's just going dead, but I'm still floating. I'm still lashing until he hits my spine, which is similar to...
The author seemed to have made a point of it that he was surprised it didn't die at the touch of the shard blade. And then he got the kind of the message from Syl, like, go for the gem heart.
Right. I think it's kind of like the Radiance, though. Like, they're not going to die from it because they can heal.
Yeah, maybe that's the point.
As well. So they need to have their gem heart kit.
That makes sense.
Because I mean, like, even... Yeah, so I think it's the same way. Like, you got to get the...
I wouldn't say necessarily the same way. They have the healing power to be able to get over a normal stab wound.
Yeah. So what's the Radiance gem heart then?
Their heart.
Their regular. It's just their heart.
Brain, obviously not the brain.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like their brain.
She gets a bullet through the brain.
That's what I thought too. I'm like, are we sure it's the actual heart? Because the head doesn't do it.
She got... Well, we're going to get to that when we talk about it. When she got shot through the head... She was healing already around it, but she was just really slow because there's certain part of her brain that couldn't heal.
She was full of Stormlight, and so was the fuse.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
however, let's save that for when we get to that arc.
Next episode.
Right.
So Dalinar, he succeeds in Aesir thanks to Lift and thanks to the young Emperor.
Wait, should we talk a little bit about Lift and coming to
How
see
she wants
nice...
to stop eating.
Nice strong butt. Yeah. Like,
she's all about that strong butt, that fit butt.
What's your fit butt? Yeah.
Lift.
She's going to be funny when she gets older.
She's like, I figured out how I can stop changing. I need to stop eating. As she shovels all the food into her mouth.
I'll do it eventually.
Yeah.
She's like...
That's like every person on a diet.
Yeah.
No,
that's just every woman.
Every woman's diet starts tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not on this. I'm not agreeing with Theme to Dream on this one. He can own that statement.
Yeah, he'll take all the heat. For that, you can message him at Eat. No.
Exactly.
Don't put it on our page. Put it on his page.
Bitch, you know it's true.
Dude, so let's change gears real quick, because unless you guys want to comment about his... He's basically winning. He's succeeding. However, every time he does one of these things, he also gains memories back.
Yeah.
Which instructs us or...
Informs us,
or learns us.
If we want to get technical.
Jeff, you want to get technical. Jeff, you're going to learn today. I use good English, good. English, good, yeah.
I think we should continue with his
Your grammar's good.
We'll continue.
Good grammar, good, yeah. All right, anyway, sorry.
I think we should continue and talk about then... He is getting these memories back every time. And we're starting to learn about his past.
All right.
First statement. Abby.
Yes. Good. How adorable is she's pretty adorable. Too.
She's awesome.
And so now you know why Adolin's so good with the girls too.
Yeah.
Because he had lots of hugs when he was little. Also, that was adorable, that scene with Adolin.
He is so cute. I'm liking his characters more and more.
Yeah.
And I'm really sad. Like, it kind of scares me because I feel like
something bad's coming.
Something's bad's coming because of the whole death.
I mean, he's gonna have Shallan stolen from him soon by Kaladin.
I don't know. I was like worried about that, but then as I read, I feel that Shallan's conflicted, but man, does she actually really like him too? So
yeah, Shallan's like a great example of once you go black, you never go back.
Let's save this though. No, wait.
Dark hair, stupid.
Dark hair. People are gonna get angry at you for saying that.
I'm pretty sure that she's not gonna go to Kaladin.
We clearly don't have to worry about Shallan going to Kaladin, but we do have to worry about Vale going to Kaladin.
Exactly.
Wait, let's
I don't know if you guys read this part, but they're the same person.
What? Dude, we're gonna before we
next
move
episode.
On, yeah, we gotta say next episode. But honestly, though, even her own colleagues who find out, her servants who find out, they treat Vale differently anyway too.
Yeah,
how good she is.
Right,
hilarious. Yeah. But
we haven't seen much of them treating her after she told them.
Exactly. That's right. A little bit though, and they were like,
but Dalinar.
No, Dalinar. Yeah, right. We'll talk about it next episode for sure, folks, because we got some differing opinions on this, which will be interesting. But Dalinar, Dalinar finds out about Evie.
Yeah, Dalinar's past is pretty amazing. Were you guys ready to get into his past?
Yes, that's what we want, man.
The character contrast between Alethi warlord Dalinar and his adorable, like, peace-loving humanitarian wife Evie is such an amazing contrast.
Yes.
Sanderson did an awesome job creating, like, a relationship that readers want to see bloom, but we know that there's an enormous amount of natural tension that's between the two of them.
Yeah.
Just because they're so different.
One who is so willing to like express their emotions and feelings, and one who is conflicted by having them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like low
Big
even
time.
nearly
The thing that I was proud of Dalinar, maybe that's just my perspective in general, but he was really trying regularly to, like, he would do something and then in his inner monologue he'd be like, son of a bitch, I shouldn't have done that because she's not Alethi, or like I need to, or whatever. You know, he had some interesting monologue. Still, he failed. I'm not taking that away, but
even when he tried, it like sometimes came from a more selfish position, like
Sometimes
where he
it
was
did.
just like, I hope she didn't notice that I tried to change the subject.
that's
you know?
true. Exactly.
Talking about her
true.
stupid where she came from always works. You know, it's just like
He was, exactly. But, you know, I view that as also, that was him growing into how he is now.
yeah, I think it
of
was part of the growth.
If it wasn't for her, though, holy hell.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, if it wasn't for her,
yeah.
I think he struggled a lot with the whole relationship, and not just almost, it seemed to be that he forced, everything was forced, and that he wasn't, I mean, he tried, but I don't know if he ever got to, like, this is my love or my relationship.
lies. I don't agree with him at all.
I want to say I don't agree with that either.
Hollers.
Because doing
Cheers.
this, I can't remember
I
what
agree
man,
with
he
you
probably
guys,
knows
by the
better. But
Sorry, Josh.
he was talking about something, and it's like, oh, we made all these decisions, but if everyone thinks I'm a hero and she doesn't,
Yeah,
It bothered
her
me.
opinion
doesn't
of
matter.
him was more affecting him than anybody else.
Yeah.
So that's definitely him agreeing the fact that he loved her.
Yeah.
But I think that he has a hard time understanding that because as an Alethi, he doesn't know what that emotion is really.
Right.
Well, and I'm not necessarily that he didn't love her, but that he didn't, I think he honestly didn't really even want to. Like, he kept trying to run away from it and trying to stay as far away from it as he could. And you could definitely see that there were times where he was like, okay, like, I should do this, and he was happy that he did that type of things and that he was able to do things for her. But I think he was constantly conflicted with, like, this whole choice of, do I be who I should be, or, like, the proper, like, I'm an Alethi warlord, or do I have to go back and kind of, like, cater to her? And even what I think it seeps through a little bit in some of the conversations where he goes and he sits down and he's like,
Oh, that's so funny.
so uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to sit here, but I know I have to because this is what she needs. So,
Guys, so we're at our time slot. So I think that we need to save it and get into it next episode.
All right.
Well, I just want to say really quickly then, I got the total different impression that Josh got, which I felt like he was struggling with who he was
We're not
to
gonna.
who he wants to be.
We're not gonna not talk about Dalinar. We're gonna talk about him still. We got more to say. We got to talk about it. So, but we are gonna close out tonight, folks. And hopefully you're as angsty as we are to continue this conversation. And I'm gonna make them wait a week. Maybe. Or it'll be a
Next
doubleheader.
week-
We'll see. We'll see.
Next week, Dalinar's wife.
Ooh,
Evie.
no, no.
It's just
All
fine.
right, folks. Again, you are
Previously on Lit Literature.
Yeah, you are listening to Lit Literature, and this is going to be an intense conversation these next 2/3 episodes. So, cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll see you
Cheers.
next time in a darker way. And hopefully again. Goodbye. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort, join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.